Do you mind kind of going into how you got started looking for the lost city?
No, not at all, and it's a pleasure talking to you. In 1994, I was in the television business. I was a cinematographer. I was partners in a production services company. And we did a lot of things all over the world. We were fairly successful. But I always wanted to do something that was of personal interest. I was essentially a television contractor, so I did what other people paid me to do. I had an innate interest in science, in history, archaeology, things like that. And so I said to my partners at the time, we have all the people, we have all the equipment, why don't we make our own TV show? They said, well, come up with an idea and go for it. So I came up with this idea of doing a series called Tales of Adventure, which would try and find interesting things around the world to go do TV shows about.
Okay.
I put the word out on the street, and I was introduced to a treasure hunter, raconteur, adventurer, guy named Captain Morgan. He looked like the guy in the Captain Rum ads, except his hair was shorter.
Got a picture here.
And he said, oh, I got a great story for you. He said, I'm currently looking for this legendary lost city in the jungles of eastern Honduras called Ciudad Blanca, which means white city in English. And if you want to come with me, maybe that would be the good first episode. And I said, he wrote a little synopsis, I read it, and I went, this is a great story. Got to do it. So I organized the money, and I had the equipment, the people.
Right.
And we did it. We put a team of about 18 together, and we spent 3 weeks in the jungle in Honduras looking for this lost city. I had no clue what I was in for. I knew how to take care of myself and could organize the logistics, but Captain Morgan had been there many times, so far unsuccessfully.
Right. And
he had connections, and he made all the arrangements with the government, and he got some local people, and we went.
And so this is back in 94?
94.
94. So before going off on the first adventure, like how much time did you spend getting like money and resources and stuff all that together?
Well, the money didn't take too long because I had this business and we covered a lot of that. And then I had a client who was actually Spiegel TV and Der Spiegel magazine in Germany.
Okay.
And it turned out that the chief of that company was an adventurer, and I was telling him about this, and he said, hey, can I partner you with on it? And I said, you bet.
Dude,
let's split the cost.
That's incredible.
So he did. He said, I'll do that if I can go along. So he came along too.
Okay. Wow, that's truly incredible.
And then it didn't take long to organize all the logistics, a few months.
Yeah, so you go off on this expedition, you're there after a short period of time. You guys are filming this or documenting it, I'm assuming.
Right.
So what is going through your mind?
Well, I'm having this incredible adventure throughout Honduras, especially in the jungle. I'd never really been seriously in jungles before, so I'm learning a lot as we're going along, and thank God we had people that knew what they were doing. But there was one particular moment when we were up high in the highlands, far away, many days away from where any humans lived that we knew about or saw. And we're on this stream, and there's this big boulder. And on this boulder is a carving of a man with a fancy headdress and a stick, and it looked like a satchel with seeds or something falling out of it. It was really pretty nice. And the archaeologist, we had a government archaeologist with us in case we found something, and he said, oh, this is a farmer, somebody planting corn. But some of the other people said, well, maybe it's a shaman doing a ceremony. Didn't matter to me. I said, what is this carving doing in the middle of nowhere? You can barely see 20 feet in front of you, the jungle's so thick. So if they were farming, it had to be a different climate or a different environment. Something told me there's more to what meets the eye here. And I began to listen to all the legends I had heard about this city, and I went, there's something here, and I want to prove whether or not it's really true.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I became obsessed with trying to prove or disprove the legend.
So you're going on through that time. How much time between then and because you guys found like like pottery and stuff along the way during that time?
Correct.
So how long did that whole venture take you through in 94?
Well, 94 was about 3 weeks, and then we found some stuff, and we went to other parts in Honduras, and we actually found some burials and archaeological sites, and we spent a year or two getting those excavated. Okay. So it went on and on and on, but I couldn't get it out of my head that somewhere in that jungle there might be this big city that everyone was talking about in the legend. Because we just found small things. It was interesting, but not the big kahuna. And I learned more and more and more. So this went on through several years. And finally, a friend of mine from here in Pasadena had just found another legendary lost city in the country of Oman. It was called Ubar. It's a biblical city.
Oh, okay.
And he had used satellite technology. He hired some engineers from the JPL to do a survey of the desert. And they were able to actually see the old caravan trails. And they all kind of converged like the spokes on a wheel to one place. And said, oh, no one's been there. Oh, that might be Ubar. And they went there, and it was there. So my friend turned me on to the guys at the JPL. I hired them, and we tried using the same technology in the jungle. Didn't work quite as well.
Got it.
But we did get a really good idea of the terrain features. And by studying it, I was able to see that there were certain places where there were there was missing geographical information. No expeditions I could find had ever gone there because it was really tough. It's basically kind of an uncharted area.
Wow.
And topographically, it was a perfect place for a lost city to be. So that's where I wanted to go.
Huh.
Consequently, in 1998, I organized another expedition with the help of Tokyo Broadcasting System. They put up, I think, $1.5 million at the time.
Oh, wow.
We were going to fly in helicopters and go there and see if there was something there. We really had no idea. It was a good guess, but we would have to physically go there. Unfortunately, Honduras in 1998 suffered from Hurricane Mitch, which was one of the worst hurricanes ever recorded.
Oh, okay.
It essentially devastated the country. All bets were off. The whole thing collapsed. We never went.
And so during that time, when you're searching through all that, because you're going through an area called the Gates of Hell,
right?
And when you guys are set off in their first, I'm going back a little bit to the first part of the expedition. You guys are traveling down river on a boat, sometimes walking through the water.
Right. Correct.
And one of your partners gets stuck in mud.
No, you're getting confused. That happened in 2015.
Oh,
we were at the city. There were a lot of mud holes we had to cross.
Okay.
And we called them quick mud, and that's what they're known to. And yeah, our anthropologist, who was a short woman, got stuck and started actually sinking into the mud.
Okay, so this is in 2015. Later. Right. Okay, got it. So going back on the first trip, so you're going through, you're searching for the lost city for about a better part of a decade. And then I'm sure your wife's a very patient woman with you.
Well, she got impatient. She said, if you ever mention the lost city in Honduras again, I'm leaving. Because people would always ask me about it. It's an interesting story. We go with friends or at a party. Oh, what's going on? And she'd get tired of hearing Honduras, lost city.
Well, after a while, did you get pretty impatient yourself?
No, I could be obsessive and very persistent, which is probably why I wound up succeeding in this venture, because I just don't give up. And even though I went on with my life, my business, with family life, and so on, in my spare time I was always researching more legends, finding people who said they claimed they found it or they went looking, always trying to increase my knowledge. And I did that for quite a few years until 2010.
And that's when you discovered sonar technology? LiDAR technology, sorry.
And LiDAR, which uses laser beams in the same way that you would use sound for sonar or radar, microwaves for radar. The technology was developed in the 60s as a navigational aid, particularly for the space program. And it's evolved over the decades. And just in the mid to early 2006, 2010, so